Welcome back to Morning Coffee, and look who I found. Her name is Carole Moore, and it is Fridays with Carole here on Morning Coffee. Good morning, Carole, and welcome.
Good morning. What a beautiful day it is here in New Jersey, and it's a little bit of drizzle out there, but hopefully tomorrow will be bright and sunny.
Yeah, tomorrow we want it to be bright and sunny because there's this super awesome event going on that you're involved in, and you wanted to tell everybody about.
Well, for the past 12 years, New Jersey State has had what's called a history fair, and it covers history from Revolutionary War all the way up to Vietnam era. And you can find out exactly what the schedule of events is by just going online, www. New Jersey State History Fair. And the really cool things that happen in where I'm in the Civil War section. And I'll be doing Civil War medical history.
Oh, wow.
And that's really neat because remember they had just figured out that they looked at a steak and they saw that when you're cooking a steak, the meat stops bleeding. And they took that observation and went to the fact that when they had to chop off somebody's leg and that bleeding was a problem, they cauterized it by taking a hot thing, whether it be a knife for individual arteries, etc., or a torch, and it was an ugly wound, but it, number one, stopped the bleeding. But what they were doing, which actually was killing the germs as well.
Right.
They didn't know about the germ factor yet. During Civil War surgery, which they learned enough to know that if you had been hit with a shell or a fodder, your arm would fester up and get infected, and you would die in 3 months. Okay? So they figured that much out. So as soon as you had a wound, they'd whack it off.
Okay.
Okay. Then you had a better chance to survive. But the survival rate was only because they had cut it off and cauterized to stop the bleeding, which also killed the germs.
Wow. Now, was there one person in particular that came up with this, or was this almost the collective, like, hey, we got to change the way we're doing things, we're losing too many men out here?
Well, the infection factor was the big one. And of course, Clara Barton will be there tomorrow, and she's the founder of the what we call the American Red Cross now.
Jesus, she's got to be like,
she
what,
is
400 years old now?
Definitely. Yeah, all these reenactors really
crazy.
Look very authentic, and she will be speaking in period as to exactly how they discovered that. One of the things that she was instrumental in was all the prison camps.
Okay.
They were taking their water, drinking water, from below where the stenches was from the bathrooms.
Okay.
So the water they were serving was tainted. So it was she who actually did observations walking around the outside of the prison camps, seeing that the sewer water was filtering into the drinking water, and she put the drinking water up above the sewer water and solved the problem. And so yeah, she was very instrumental. So she'll be there. Walt Whitman will also be there.
Excellent.
And he will be reading a poem dedicated to President Abraham Lincoln, whose coffin will be there.
But
this is Batesville Coffin Company.
Wow.
Okay, who's a real manufacturer of modern day coffins.
Okay.
Has recreated the Lincoln coffin.
Wow.
And
I bet you it's really long, right? Because he was tall.
He was very tall. As a matter of fact, when he was at the theater, he had to have special seating. Lincoln had to have a rocking chair.
Wow.
Because when you rock back in a rocking chair, it gives you more room for the legs, and his legs were the length.
Just think, if he would have been rocking backwards instead of forwards when John Wilkes Booth entered the balcony, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe history would have been different.
Absolutely.
Maybe Abe would have gotten up and grappled with John Wilkes Booth and then thrown him off the balcony, and then history would have been completely different, right?
It would have been completely different, but John Wilkes Booth, you have to understand, was an actor at the time. He was very famous. He was like a modern actor today. You would know him.
Yeah,
everybody.
There were
knew
only
who he
5
was.
actors at the time, though. Come on,
well,
Carole.
he came from an acting family.
Yeah,
The
it was his
Booths
brother
were-
who was the real actor.
Yes, but his parents also were in the theater.
Do you know how I learned this? There's a show called Drunk History. and that's how I learned it. Where drunk storytellers tell you about history.
Oh, that's a good way.
It's quite hilarious, Carole. I suggest you find it on Comedy Central.
Well,
It's very funny.
I have no problem. Any way you can teach history, I say teach history.
But what they tells me is that the stories are actually, there's some accuracy in them. That
Absolutely.
John Wilkes Booth,
Yeah.
him and his brother were actors.
Yes, absolutely.
And John Wilkes, he really was the assassination of Lincoln was more about his inner turmoil
Right.
and his success than it was about killing the president.
Yes, he was a Southern sympathizer, and the whole series of events that went up until the assassination all had to do with capturing Lincoln, not assassinating him. It was John Wilkes Booth who took it upon himself to go the step farther because the war had just ended.
Right.
And what all the prisoners were going to be released anyway. Why would you bother kidnapping the president to trade for all the prisoner release?
Right.
So, but it's going to be really good. Now, tomorrow I will be the Civil War medic, so to speak.
Okay.
And I will be serving some of the food that they would have served. I have homemade bread. And one of the things I found out is that when the troops came marching past your apple orchard, they gathered as many apples as they could and they made applesauce.
Really?
And so one of the meals that they were served was bread spread with a type of lard, which we call butter today, and applesauce on top. Now, an apple a day does keep the doctor away. And the things our grandmothers knew about apples creating a barrier against cancer, giving you a healthy heart, giving you a healthy digestion system. All this is back to an apple. So applesauce was not only medicinal, it was also nutritional.
Right.
And so that was what we'll be serving. So you can stop by our Civil War medic tent, and not only will you see cots there with bodies laying on them and an extra limb or two in a bowl where we had just operated.
Right.
It's living history, and that's how we teachers always make the impression. People will remember going to a living history event, and for the state to do this every year for the past 12 years, it's wonderful. And it's all day tomorrow, Saturday, what is that, the 14th? And it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning and goes till 2 or 3. The last 2 years we've been thunder boomed out by late afternoon. So if you're going to come in the morning so that you can take advantage, because it's thousands of people on events and it's free.
And where is it, Carole?
It's at the Monmouth Battlefield in North Jersey. Just look up www.Monmouth Battlefield. And the battlefield is always there.
Yeah.
That's where the Revolutionary War was won for our state. And if you want to go there anytime, it does not have to be tomorrow.
Right.
But tomorrow is the big living history from all wars, all incorporated.
You urge people to check it out anytime, but tomorrow is the event.
Yes.
And look, it's up in Monmouth County, but Monmouth County, if you're from the Philadelphia area or South Jersey, it's not far.
No, it's about an hour 15
it's worth the trip.
from Philly.
It's really worth the trip.
Really.
I got to take a quick break, but we will be right back on Morning Coffee, Fridays with Carole Moore. We'll be right back.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to make a really great sub, this is what we do. It's what we've been doing. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do. So what are you doing? Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Today's show was brought to you by Alicia Kelly of White Horse RV Center in Williamstown, New Jersey. Alicia is your RV expert. Contact Alicia at alicia@whitehorserv.com or give her a call at 856-262-1717, extension 203. When you think of RV, think Alicia Kelly.
Extra Innings is the nation's premier indoor baseball and softball training center, featuring indoor batting cages, 7 multi-use tunnels, and training rooms. Extra Innings can provide professional instruction, private and group lessons, and the best year-round clinics. Along with a nationally recognized pro shop that features the latest and widest selection of equipment and apparel, our experienced staff can provide you with the right instruction and help you find the best equipment for your ability and budget. Extra Innings, where the game never ends.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers.
Well, welcome back to Morning Coffee. It's Fridays with Carole Moore, and we are talking about history. We are talking about American history. We are talking about New Jersey history, and we are talking about an amazing event that is happening tomorrow that's being put on by the New Jersey Historical Society. It is an amazing day to celebrate the amazing history we have here in New Jersey.
Yes, and I literally live the history of New Jersey, because you must remember New Jersey is one of the original 13 colonies, and my house in Edgewater Park and all the houses in my area are all 300 years old. I was traveling in Europe at a bed and breakfast and sat down at a table for breakfast, and somebody said, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, I have an old house in New Jersey. And they say, "How old is the house?" And I said, 300 years old. And they said, "Oh, this one's 500. So it's all relative as to where you are
Right.
in the world as to whether 300 is old or not.
Right.
But
you
in
got
the-
looked down upon because your house is only
Only
300.
300
Yeah,
years.
only 300 years old. Ugh.
And of course, New Jersey has a tremendous history, because it is the first of all the 13 colonies that actually allowed women to own property. You see, up until that time, if your parents died and left you an estate, okay, you had to have an uncle or a cousin, male.
It went to the next male heir.
Well, it didn't go to them. They got
No?
to administer it. It was
Oh,
yours, but
okay.
you weren't allowed to own it.
Okay.
Okay, but New Jersey was the only state of the original 13 where women were allowed to own property. So
Look
we're
at
very
that.
progressive in that
Yeah,
way.
that's cool.
Of course, it left us, in the 1800s. It was taken away and wasn't
Right.
given back to women's suffrage.
Right.
But that's all in the history. But New Jersey was next to Philadelphia, and of course Philadelphia is where all the documents for independence were written, and
our
that's
nation's
22
first
minutes
capital.
from us. And literally, I say if Philadelphia is the cradle of liberty, then New Jersey is the canopy bed of liberty.
Okay.
Because all the battles were fought in New Jersey.
Right.
Yes, in Philadelphia they wrote all the documents,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But the battles were fought here at the Monmouth Battlefield in North Jersey, which is where the fair is tomorrow.
Right.
And what's really neat is the fair encompasses from the Revolutionary War all the way up to Vietnam. And even a full World War II segment of soldiers who are reenactors.
Okay.
And they will be reenacting World War II events. They have cannons of that period, as well as we have Revolutionary War cannons. So it's not going to be a quiet day. It's going
Okay.
to be a noisy day.
Right.
And we go rain or shine. So put your rain slicker in the car, and if it starts drizzling, you just keep on coming.
Well, they
no
didn't
matter
stop the
what.
battles if it
No, they
started
didn't.
raining, Carole.
They didn't stop the battles at all. And so here in New Jersey, we have all of those we have Washington's Crossing from the pre-Revolutionary War times.
Well, and I think that that's something really cool that I don't know if people really think about it, but they always hear Washington crosses the Delaware. Washington crosses the Delaware. Washington crosses the Delaware. Well, where do you think he was going?
Yeah.
He went to New Jersey. I'm sorry that you don't like New Jersey, right? But that's where he was going. He was leaving Pennsylvania to go to New Jersey.
Well, what was really the truth of what George was doing was he was coming across the river because there was a band of British soldiers at Columbus, New Jersey. That's what we call it now. At that time, it was called Black Horse, New Jersey. Now, why did it get the name of Black Horse? Horses live 40 to 50 years, and they are creatures of habit. And after a while, when the horse is no longer worthy of doing work because he's old, they put him in a pasture and just graze him out. And a black horse stood at a particular corner of the road so long that people could give directions by, take this road all the way down to the Black Horse and turn left at the Black Horse. That's why there's the Black Horse Pike, there's the White Horse Pike. And these are true factors left from our revolutionary history, which people don't realize.
That is awesome. That's like in my neighborhood. I say, yeah, you go up to the black Cadillac and you make a right? But don't ask me because I ain't from around here, right? So you need to talk to my cousin. You know, that's from an old movie.
Yeah.
But so this is so awesome that we do this. And look, I have to be honest. I had no idea that this stuff even goes on in New Jersey. But it's a really cool way to be able to celebrate New Jersey's history.
Yes, and again, the river between Pennsylvania and New Jersey, the Delaware River, is the crossing mark where George Washington's men literally came across at Beverly, New Jersey. It was a town, the smallest city in New Jersey, and it was earlier known as Dunk's Ferry because William Duncanson had a ferry there, and if you wanted to cross the river you had to go to the ferry, and the ferryman had a house on each side of the river because if it was inclement weather he would stay at the other house and nobody would go across if it was nasty on the river. So you had all the people who were waiting to cross the river housed in your inn on one side, and in the morning when the sun came up you went across and you crossed in the ferry, and if that was another miserable night you stayed on that side. So the Delaware River was right between all of what was going on in Philadelphia and in New Jersey.
Wow, that is awesome. This is definitely an event you're going to need to check out up in Monmouth County at Monmouth State Park. Is that what it's called?
Monmouth Battlefield State Park.
And then you're also going to be able to meet Carole because she's going to be there. And she is, again, specific?
I'm the Civil War medic.
She is the Civil War medic.
Yes.
So you're going to want to go and hear her stories, and you may be able to try a special treat. I don't want to give too much away, but she's been baking up a storm, and there might be some delicious breads that are true to the time period.
I found Civil War bread recipes and applesauce recipes, and that's what one of the foods would have been. I mean, as the troops walked past your orchard was depleted from apples, and it was cooked down and made into applesauce, which was a very nutritional part of getting well that the medic would have provided.
Awesome. Carole, I got to take a break, but when we come back, I think we're going to camp, right? Does that sound right?
Camp with Mrs. Whitebriar.
All right, Mrs. Whitebriar. We're going to be right back here on Morning Coffee with the Radio Vision Network. Stick around.